Bruce Lee was not just a martial artist, he was a revolution, a storm, and a man decades ahead of his time. His fists moved like lightning, but his thoughts moved even faster. When people looked at Bruce Lee, they saw the flying kicks, the incredible physique, the electric screen presence. But what most people missed, what even some of his closest followers didn't fully understand, was his mind. Bruce Lee's most dangerous weapon was never his hands, nor his feet, nor even his nunchaku. His true secret weapon was an idea. An idea called Jeet Kune Do. Jeet Kune Do wasn't just a fighting system. It was a way of breaking the chains of limitations. Bruce didn't want to follow traditions for the sake of tradition. He wanted freedom. Not just physical freedom, but intellectual liberation. He saw the rigidity of traditional martial arts and broke it apart like a mirror that had been lying to its owner. His creation of Jeet Kune Do was not born out of disrespect for martial arts, but out of love for truth. Truth in combat. Truth in life. Truth in oneself. To understand the power of Jeet Kune Do, you must understand Bruce Lee the philosopher, not just Bruce Lee the fighter. He devoured books, over 2,000 of them, covering everything from fencing to boxing, from Taoism to psychology. He didn't want to be better than other fighters. He wanted to be better than himself. Every single day. And Jeet Kune Do was his tool, his scalpel, to cut away the unessential, the decorative, the pretentious. It wasn't about adding more, it was about removing what didn't work. Absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, and add what is uniquely your own, he said. That sentence is not just a martial arts philosophy, it's a life philosophy. When Bruce began developing Jeet Kune Do, he was met with criticism. Traditionalists scoffed at him. He's abandoning tradition, they said. But Bruce didn't care. He believed that clinging blindly to tradition was like worshipping ashes instead of passing on fire. Jeet Kune Do was fire. Pure, wild, untamed fire. It adapted. It evolved. It responded to the now. Be like water, Bruce said. Water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. And in that one line, he distilled the soul of Jeet Kune Do. Water doesn't follow patterns, it makes its own. It fills every space. It adapts to every situation. And so does Jeet Kune Do. There are no fixed forms, no katas, no rigid sequences in Jeet Kune Do. That made it unpredictable, dangerous. But it also made it real. Because in a real fight, there is no script. There are no rules. There is only movement, instinct, timing, and survival. Bruce's training was as unique as his philosophy. He punched with full intent, not just with repetition. He used boxing footwork, fencing timing, and street fighting instincts. He questioned everything. If something didn't work under pressure, it had to go. He didn't care if it came from kung fu, karate, or jiu-jitsu. What mattered was, did it work when your life depended on it? He trained with weights when martial artists scoffed at strength training. He ran daily, skipped rope, practiced speed drills. He wrote down everything. His notes were detailed, from nutrition to stretching to fight theory. His mind was constantly refining, reducing, reshaping. That's why Jeet Kune Do isn't a fixed system, it's a method of personal liberation. And the irony is, the world kept trying to define it. But Bruce said again and again, Jeet Kune Do is just a name, a boat to cross the river. Don't carry the boat on your back once you reach the other side. Even his fights weren't just physical contests, they were metaphysical statements. When he fought in The Way of the Dragon, his duel with Chuck Norris wasn't just choreographed, it was philosophical. It showed the clash between tradition and evolution, between rigidity and adaptability, between dogma and freedom. In every movement, Bruce showed the economy of motion. Jeet Kune Do eliminated waste. No flashy spinning kicks unless necessary. No wasted energy. Every move had to be direct, efficient, and effective. And that made it lethal. His fight with Wong Jackman in Oakland was a turning point. The fight was real. And though Bruce won, he realized he had wasted energy, time, and movement. That moment broke him, but in a good way. It led to the birth of Jeet Kune Do. It taught him that even victory meant nothing if it wasn't achieved with efficiency. Jeet Kune Do gave Bruce the ultimate weapon, freedom from limitation. And that was terrifying to the traditional world. Because a man who thinks for himself, who isn't bound by systems, is unstoppable. And Bruce became unstoppable, not because he punched harder, but because he thought deeper. His notebooks are filled with diagrams, quotes, counters, drills. He was crafting an art that wasn't bound by geography. Jeet Kune Do was not Chinese. It was not American. It was human. Universal. Free. Even today, elite fighters and trainers cite Bruce Lee. Dana White calls him the father of mixed martial arts. But Bruce never sought that title. He simply wanted to find the truth, and he found it in simplicity. In directness. In reality. The tragedy of his death doesn't overshadow his life. Because in just 32 years, he changed the world. And Jeet Kune Do was his legacy, not just in martial arts, but in thought, in creativity, in self-expression. Jeet Kune Do teaches you not just how to fight, but how to live. How to strip away illusions, break barriers, and be fully yourself, without apology, without fear. That's the real secret. That's the real weapon. Not fists. Not feet. But freedom. Mental freedom. Artistic freedom. The kind Bruce Lee died for, and lived for. And maybe, just maybe, that's what makes Bruce Lee immortal. Bruce Lee didn't believe in following. He believed in discovering. For him, the goal was not to copy the masters, but to become one's own master. When he said, all fixed set patterns are incapable of adaptability or pliability. The truth is outside of all fixed patterns, he wasn't just talking about martial arts. He was talking about systems of thought, about governments, religions, institutions, and every form of structured rigidity that refused to bend. Jeet Kune Do was rebellion in motion, elegant rebellion, dangerous simplicity. People misunderstood him. They thought he was being disrespectful to traditional arts. But he wasn't destroying the past. He was cutting away the inessential, the outdated, the impractical, so that something new, something real, could be born. And that takes courage. Because the world clings to patterns. People feel safe in systems. But Bruce Lee didn't want safety. He wanted truth. And truth is rarely safe. Jeet Kune Do is not about technique, it's about timing. It's not about style, it's about response. And in combat, response must be real-time. It must be born from awareness, from feeling, not from memorization. Bruce wanted fighters to move like dancers but strike like lightning. He wanted them to express, not perform. That's why he called martial arts the art of expressing the human body. He believed that fighting was the ultimate expression of oneself. Not because of the violence, but because of the clarity. In a fight, there is no pretending. You either survive or you don't. There is no ego, no deception, no status. Just the raw truth of who you are in that moment. That's why Bruce trained not just his body, but his mind and emotions. He knew fear had to be controlled, not avoided. He knew anger had to be mastered, not denied. Jeet Kune Do was not about fighting others, it was about fighting the illusions within oneself. The concept of intercepting, Jeet means to intercept, was not just a physical tactic. It was a metaphor. Intercepting means cutting off what doesn't serve you. In a fight, it means striking before your opponent can act. In life, it means stopping toxic thoughts before they take root. It means seeing clearly, acting directly, and living truthfully. Bruce studied boxing and fencing deeply. From fencing, he learned about the stop hit, attacking just as the opponent begins. From boxing, he learned angles, rhythm, feints, and combinations. He combined those with his Kung Fu foundation, but he didn't stop there. He questioned everything. And that's what made Jeet Kune Do evolve. Most martial arts teach you to memorize forms. Bruce said, don't get set into one form, adapt it and build your own, and let it grow, be like water. That's why Jeet Kune Do can't be commercialized in the same way as other arts. You can't sell a belt system in JKD. You can't bottle it. It refuses to be frozen. And that scares people. Because if there's no form, no system, then where's the structure? But Bruce would say, structure is the enemy of freedom when it becomes a cage. Jeet Kune Do was meant to free you, not control you. His training routines were insane for his time. He used electrical muscle stimulation devices. He built his own equipment. He tracked everything. Speed drills, finger push-ups, forearm twists, 1-inch punches, everything had a purpose. He trained for reality, not for show. That's why when he hit, it wasn't just fast, it was heavy. His power came from his structure, from the whip-like motion of his body, from his ability to relax and explode at will. His diet was meticulous. He avoided empty calories. Drank protein shakes. Read medical journals. Practiced deep breathing and meditation. Bruce wasn't just building a body, he was crafting a weapon of philosophy. Jeet Kune Do practitioners don't memorize moves. They feel. They observe. They adapt. A JKD fighter doesn't say, this is what I learned. He says, this is what works for me, here, now, in this moment. It's not an art you finish learning, it's a mirror that reflects who you are every day. Bruce wrote about honest expression. He believed that was the goal, in art, in combat, in life. Most people wear masks. But in a real fight, those masks fall away. That's when you meet your real self. And if you don't know who that is, you will lose, no matter how strong you are. Jeet Kune Do asks the hardest questions. What are you afraid of? What do you do when your plan fails? Who are you when you are cornered? That's why Bruce's legacy is still alive. Not just in dojos, but in boardrooms, classrooms, gyms, and studios. People applied JKD principles to business, music, dance, therapy, and more. Because it's not a martial art. It's a life art. And yet, the martial aspect of JKD is still profound. Bruce emphasized 4 ranges: kicking, punching, trapping, and grappling. He taught students to flow through all ranges seamlessly. Most arts focus on 1 or 2. Bruce trained for all. He didn't believe in being one-dimensional. A JKD fighter uses the best from boxing, fencing, kung fu, wrestling, whatever works. No loyalty to systems. Loyalty only to effectiveness. Some said Bruce made martial arts impure. But he believed truth was pure. And truth often comes from many sources. His dream was never fame. It was freedom. He wanted to share what he found, a way to move freely, live honestly, fight truthfully. And that's what he left behind. Jeet Kune Do is Bruce Lee. But more than that, it is you, if you dare to be real.